Hello everyone, it's Teferi07. Today I'm updating my General Ferrous Rokiric Cascade Zoo list with Quintorius Kand, very powerful Planeswalker from Ixalan edition, shaking up Pioneer with crazy combo decks that lets you discover like 10 times until you drain your opponent immediately just by casting this card in a one card combo deck. Here I'm doing a different thing, like using this guy with Cascaders to drain my opponent life, but also using this card just as a value card. Also it's red and white, so you can pitch it to both Solitude and Fury, which is important for blue and for red and white card count, of course. Also it's multicolor, so it triggers the general, and that's it. Okay, so I wasn't previously I played Teferi Time Raveler here, so of course Teferi can maybe be more relevant now if Rhinos become tier 1 deck again with Tidebinder, but I wanted really to try the Quintorius Kand in this list, and I was impressed with it, and it did pretty well. I can't say it was brutal, but it was very playable, but I liked it more in a shell like this one, which is more aggro, so you have more creatures in your deck which can protect the Kand, so this means it won't die immediately on the next turn after you cast it. And yeah, that can be like really relevant, so you can discover 4 and then start making those spirit tokens and use his passive to gain some life and to drain the opponent. And just quickly, we have Quintorius Kand, we have General Ferrous Rokiric, we have Beans. So that is basically 3 ways to quickly end up the match just by abusing one of those. Also there is Territorial Kavu, Scion of Draco, plus Shardless Agent that by itself can provide pretty good clock in some matches. Of course, in last like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, Young Dingo trophied with a similar list which I initially played, had Fire Ices instead of Solitude. That is also another great option. So Solitudes are kind of flex here, they are very good, but Fire Ice is also decent. Quintorius Kand is another card that can be very useful in this matchup. It's not mandatory, but it is a fun new card. It is powerful card. It is a multicolor card that triggers general, and yeah, it's pretty good in this archetype. Okay, so that is it. I played only one league with this deck and really liked how it went, and also Quintorius is a 5 mana in a Beans deck, so triggering Beans also very relevant, of course. Okay, so let's check out how the league went and how did this deck feel. I think this deck is pretty good, so I'm still undecided about Quintorius Kand. Is it the best choice? Maybe the Teferi is better choice at the moment, but there are some more slots in this deck like that should be considered, like for example Solitudes. Solitudes are not mandatory like 4 off in this deck, and Quintorius is not mandatory 3 off. It can 1 could be also good. Okay, so I had multiple options here, but decided to go for Shardless, resolve another Beanstalk. So yeah, like the Beanstalk mirror, both players have 2 Beanstalks on the field. Opponent now also has 4 Beanstalks in a top 19 cards. That is insane. Okay, so but I have Ferrous Rokiric and making this 4/4 token. So let's see, is Ferrous Rokiric better, or is 2 more Beanstalk better? So let's see what wins the game in a case like this. It's pretty interesting, and yeah, my opponent is drawing 4 with each card they play, but they can't deal with Rokiric. What they can do here is they can play the Ferry to bounce General Ferrous Rokiric, but that's it. They don't have a spell that kills this card, so that is really hard for them to deal with. And I just have to keep drawing like multicolor cards and putting some power on the field, and my opponent should eventually just run out of answers for my 4/4 free tokens. Okay, so opponent passes the turn. I go for a Shardless, create my 4/4 golem, then go for the Kavu, create another 4/4 golem, then cast a Kavu and create another 4/4 golem, and that is a lot of creatures on the field. I don't have anything in my hand at the moment, but opponent is on 11 and I have like that's 24, 27 power on the field, and the opponents definitely have to deal with this. Okay, so opponent starts off with Solitude, getting rid of one of the Kavus, drawing 2. At this point they have just 13 cards in their library. They probably have Endurance, but I'm not sure even if Endurance is enough. They have just 17 cards in their graveyard, and so 18 plus 9 there, that is not a lot. Okay, so opponent just continues hard casting the Furies, and unfortunately for me I didn't have any mana open, and they played one of Jace Wielder of Mysteries in their deck, and they were able to mill themselves completely and win by a Jace passive ability. If I had like any removal in response, yeah, that could backfire on them, but that was it. They 4 beans was too much beans, and Rokiric did perform pretty good, put up a battle here, but Jace in the end won the matchup. Okay, so let's see the sideboarding plan. In this matchup, we of course I always bring in Force of Vigors. My opponent is playing Leyline Bindings, they're playing Beanstalks, and there's usually plenty of targets for it, and the card is always great. As you can see, I boarded out my Leyline Bindings. Leyline Bindings are really trashy. In this matchup, I rarely want to cast them, never want to cast them on the beans. So what is left there is just casting the binding on Shardless Agents and the Bloodbraid Elves, and that is like not really what I want to do. So I decided to just get rid of the bindings, also got rid of the 2 Solitudes. My opponent doesn't play much creatures, so my plan here was try to outvalue them in with other cards. Okay, let's see how that went. So I went for a Quintorius Kand here, triggering the General Ferrous Rokiric, and of course the dream here is to hit Bloodbraid Elf with the Kand and then hit the Shardless. So making a lot of these golems, but of course Quintorius into Charlotte is decent too. Opponent takes my Kand with binding, but I have another one hitting a Shardless, and that is a lot of golem tokens and also draining life, so 4 life drained here with Kand hitting the Shardless, and also going for the Fury here to kill the Omnath, and that is too much going on for my opponent and they have to concede. Also I have like lethal, I think, attack, so that is the game, and let's check out the game 3. Okay, so in the game 3 I draw my Lavinia in the starting hand. Lavinia is very good in this matchup. They can't pitch cast their elementals, they can't cast the binding, basically they can't cast anything, but they also had a Fire Ice on turn 2, so I was not able to cast it on turn 2, and now on turn I had some options here. I was not able to cast General Ferrous because I didn't have red plus white mana, so I went for a Lavinia here. Opponent goes for Jace, and I know they can't cast anything because I have Lavinia on the field, so I was able to just go for the Bloodbraid Elf here, Cascade into Kavu, and yeah, so now I was able to attack with both, do the draw with Kavu. I was expecting a Solitude, so I didn't attack with my Lavinia. Then I didn't find another land, but I cast my Rokiric, and yeah, Rokiric next turn can really get me some power on the field I wanted. So I go for the Beanstalk, try to draw that land, didn't get it, but I cast my Lavinia, creating a Golem token. Yeah, I kind of just need another land, so I can like go Lavinia plus Shardless Agent, so I find it, and yeah, go for the Lavinia first, then Shardless Agent. This means a lot of golems for me. Opponent takes my Beanstalk, but I'm kind of playing more on my Rokiric in this game and not so much on the Beanstalk, but I got another Beans on the field, and there is just a lot of damage on the field right now. Opponent passing the turn. I play another Beanstalk and going for another Shardless, finding another Beanstalk, making another Golem token, and that's it for the opponent. They concede. That is the match. Okay, let's check out the match 2. So Quintorius Kand was really good in that game 2. Twice casting it, getting a lot of value, and also draining opponent for a lot of life, enabling me to finish the game a turn earlier, which was relevant. So in the game 2, opponent was playing the Gruul Storm. Started off with the turn 2 Kavu. My hand was like classic, let's say classic Cascade Zoo hand. Turn 2 Kavu into turn 3 Shardless Agent. This time I hit Beanstalk. No Kavu this time, but I hit the Beanstalk. I had Solitude and Scion next turn to trigger it again. Opponent finds Ragavan, but I just traded with Shardless Agent, so I'm definitely fine with that. I play another land, go for Bloodbraid Elf, hit the Shardless, and Shardless finds a second Beanstalk. These are now 2 Beanstalks on the field, which obviously can be pretty powerful, also putting my opponents to 10. This is now 2 turn clock on the field. Opponent trying to find some solutions, and yeah, they have Ragavan into Bolt, into a drawing card from my Beanstalk, but now I'm untapping with a lot of stuff. I go Shardless into Kavu, play the Scion, triggering the Beans, getting another white card and I wanted for Solitude. And so yeah, next turn I almost certainly have lethal, so I just have to survive a turn. Opponent goes for Anarchomancer, and I cast my Solitude in response to their Vrens Resolve. So if they resolve the Vrens Resolve with Anarchomancer on the field, a lot of stuff can happen, so I wanted to get rid of that before. Opponent plays another Vrens Resolve, finally finds the breach, but it is too late, they can't do anything relevant with it, don't have mana for it, so yeah, that was it. Let's check out the game 2. Okay, so I've really wanted my endurances for this matchup. They can be pretty quick, so I'm trimming on slower cards like Quintorius Kand, Ferrous, Rokiric, and yeah. I don't need much, just my endurances. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so opponent, good start, Ragavan plus Channeler. I play my Beanstalk and go for the Solitude immediately, drawing card. Opponent plays Anarchomancer and has another Ragavan. I go for my second Shardless Agent finding Kavu, so this means I can block their Ragavan very efficiently and have Fury to get rid of both Anarchomancer and Channeler. My opponent makes their Channeler delirious, but I have Endurance to take their graveyard, kill both Channeler and take their graveyard, so which makes their Breach useless. So on my turn I was able to go for Territorial Kavu, pass the turn holding the Leyline Binding, and my opponent concedes. That is the match. Okay, so very quick games against Gruul Storm, and let's check out the game 3. Okay, so okay hand depending on the matchup, definitely, but can be pretty good. So I decide to go for a turn 2 Beanstalk, obviously, hold Fury. Hopefully if they play something else for the next turn like Stoneforge, opponent attacks with Inspector and plays another Inspector. So yeah, I really wanted to kill both of their guys in so they can't go pure steel equip next turn, and just cast my general. If I draw a multicolor spell, I can get some tokens, but unfortunately I was not able to get it. But I passed the turn holding mana to cycle the Triome, plus cast the Binding, trigger the Beanstalk, take their construct, but still I was not able to get the multicolor spell. I was really hoping for that, and yeah, my opponent uses the Havermite. And yeah, I go for a Fury, kill their construct token, they take my beans, so I don't get the redraw, but I'm in a decent situation here. General on the field, now Kavu making golem tokens. Golem tokens are useful against to pressure my opponent, but they have Sanctifier on the field and the golems are also red, so it has protection from that. And yeah, I played another Fury to kill the Giver, but they had a protection spell there, and yeah, this Sanctifier can be lethal if they find a way to equip it, because they have Giver on the field. But they didn't find it yet, and there's just a lot of power on the field, so I go for Bloodbraid Elf, get another 2 more Golem tokens, and just try to go for lethal attack with everything. It was, yeah, I could have like stayed back with Scion maybe as a flyer at blocker, but I decided to go with everything, and this was like exactly lethal. Opponent didn't have another way to survive, so that was the game. Let's check out the game 2. Okay, so let's see the sideboarding plan for the Hammer Time matchup. Definitely want my Force of Vigors, of course. Quintorius Kands are too slow for this matchup where opponent can kill you turn 2. So trimming on that, decided against boarding in Charmaws. Yeah, they can be awkward against, especially on the draw. So I just basically wanted Scions out. There are a lot of useful cards for the matchup, so I had to remove something out. And since I'm removing the multicolor spell in Quintorius, I had to find more spots, and yeah, find it by removing Scions to the sideboard. Passing the turn here, I have a Ferrous Rokiric, which can be pretty good in the matchup. Can create a lot of these golems, which makes their Colossus Hammer not that good. And yeah, they make their construct token in response. When they're tapped, I go for Force of Vigor, destroying Saga and Sigarda's Aid. So next turn I can go Ferrous plus Kavu, make a 4/4 token, and the turn after that I have Bloodbraid Elf, which can create a lot of these golem tokens, which then easily can trade with their large equipped hammer creatures, but opponent had a pretty good turn here. Double hammer equip. So this Bloodbraid Elf went into Dream Cascade, finding 3 golem tokens, Shardless and Territorial Kavu. Yeah, so lot of power on the field, but still it was not enough to win this matchup. I decided to jump the construct and kill the one Traben Inspector, but they have just another creature to re-equip the hammer, and I can't deal with that much power on the field. I did have a Kavu to create another golem, and then a Force of Vigor to kill one of their hammers and Urza Saga, but still not enough, because they have protection from red for the kill, and that was the match. That was the game, sorry. So let's check out the game 3. Okay, so again, Force of the Vigor in starting hand. I had one Quintorius in my deck in this game 3. Previously had two of those out, all 3 of those out. Okay, so I had pretty good start here. Turn 2 Beans, turn 3 Teferi, bouncing the Sanctifier, and yeah, this is already feels like very strong position for me. I have Teferi on the field, and Teferi is just dominating this matchup in a situation like this. Unfortunately, I had to pitch my Quintorius. I was looking forward into casting it next turn, but I needed to leave another Solitude in my hand, so had to get rid of that one of Quintorius. But yeah, I had like Boseiju and Force of Vigor there, plus next turn a possibility hard cast the Solitude. So I decided to go like Boseiju, the Sigarda's Aid, end of turn, plus the Teferi, play the land, pass the turn. So what I'm hoping here is for my opponent to attack with both creatures, but they attack just with Sanctifier. So what I did here, I have Teferi on the field, so they can't response. So I decided to get rid of both of their creatures, exile the Inspector, and trade with Sanctifier. This is like what I really liked the most. And yeah, I have my Force, I have Kavu, very good cards, but opponent finds also some very strong stuff. Pure Steel Paladin into Hammer, giving them a draw, and then after I used my Force of Vigor and I thought like I'm definitely this game is over, they find another Paladin plus Hammer, drawing them 2 cards, so they get a lot of good stuff from the top. And yes, so this was now a problem. I needed needed. They were like drawing a lot of cards, and they had another hammer to draw two more. But I had two beanstalks on the field and Teferi, which means they can't respond with their protection spells, which is very important. So opponent attacks just with Raven, and I exile the hammer, which means they only deal one, and draw two cards. Not great draws, but okay. This time I stay back with Kavu holding Solitude for their turn. Opponent goes Havar Might. This means they can instant speed get their hammer back, and also they cast the Stoneforge, finding the Kaldra, so they can just use another Stoneforge to put Kaldra in. Also they get draw 2, and they equip the one paladin that I blocked with Kavu, putting me on 6 life. And I was not able to use Solitude before because they will just use Havar Might, instant speed, hammer would come back into play, and they would equip it for lethal. So I did it post combat, put my Solitude on the field, play another beans plus the Teferi, and pass the turn holding another Solitude. Another Solitude means I will probably be able to survive another turn just by blocking big creatures, exiling the big creature, blocking the two problematic, and just letting some damage through. Also I have Force of Vigor and also finding Leyline Binding for next turn. This means even my opponent ran out of time, but even if they didn't, I think I would be very safe winning this game. They would get their hammer back, but I would Force of Vigor, kill both of hammers, and just kill the Traban Inspector, kill the Sanctifier, gain 6 life, and that would be game over, probably. Not for sure, but like high possibility. Also, both players low on time, and opponent ran out of the time first, and that was game over. Okay, so let's check out match 4. Okay, so keeping a slower hand, but I have Solitude and Binding to live through early turns, so it's okay. Opponent playing also Beans, but they're playing the non-Cascade version. I go for Leyline Binding on turn 2, taking the Vren 6. And then I can really curve well into turn 3 Shardless, turn 4 Bloodbraid Elf, pretty nice. I hit Kavu here, but opponent puts another Beans on the field, so I go for Rokiric. This is where I lost this match. I should have gone everything on Vren, protect my Rokiric, but instead I decide to not go with everything on Vren, but go face with Kavu, and that was the costly mistake. Opponent first kills my Rokiric, then next turn they can ping my Quintorius Kand, and after I did that play, this game was over. If Rokiric was left on the field, this would not matter. I would have Rokiric on the field, cast my Quintorius Kand, make a 4/4 token, then do the discover, and make probably another 4/4 token. This way I was not able to play Quintorius at all. I had to deal with Omnath because they were gaining too much life, and now it was a problem because They had 2 beans on the field, I had 0, and I lost my board advantage. I discover here, but opponent has a binding, a drawing 2, and yeah, that mistake was too costly. I really needed my opponent had a really good hand, but I really needed a General Ferrous Rokiric to continue fighting in this game. As you can see with cards I had, I would get a lot of these golem tokens, and that would maybe win me the game. But also opponent hand was like extremely strong in this game, so there are high chances I would lose anyway, but okay. So let's check out game 2. Okay, so much better hand. Now I have a turn 2 Beanstalk into turn 3 Shardless playing first. This is like excellent position for me. Let's see the sideboarding plan for this matchup. Trimming 1 Kavu, trimming 1 Elf, 1 Rokiric. Rokiric is not as good as you saw in that Cascade Beans matchup because my opponent is playing Wrenn 6. Still, it can be pretty good, and so I trimmed just 1. It's much better also on the play, so not all the time, but it is often like better on the play. And I trimmed 2 Solitudes, and of course bring in my Force of Vigors. That is the card I really want the most. And yeah, Quintorius Kands were like pretty useful in this matchup, like a way to they have to deal with it. It's not that easy to deal with it, especially if they don't have Wrenn 6 to ping it immediately, but it does often a lot of value immediately. Discovers 4 draining opponent, especially if you hit Shardless or Bloodbraid Elf, then does a double drain. And yeah, I really liked it. And here I cast the Quintorius Kand, and opponent concedes on that. So that was the game. Let's check out the game 3. Okay, had to mulligan that first hand. Unfortunately no lands, and I keep a really mediocre hand. Just a binding and a Force of Vigor. As you could, if you remember in that Cascade matchup, I boarded out all my bindings because they're not like very good. And here I left the bindings in. This is a significantly different matchup. And my opponent is playing Wrenn 6 here. They're often also playing a ring, which is a great target for binding. But yeah, sometimes you take it doesn't feel good to take the Beanstalk with the binding because they already did the draw with it and you're using a card for it. And now my Force of Vigor is kind of dead. I would rather have these bindings in hand and use the Force to kill both of these Beanstalks, but yeah, I played this differently. And unfortunately Wrenn 6 is really a problem for this deck. Kills both Rokiric and Quintorius Kand after the discover. So I played the Kand and plussed it, making a spirit token. But yeah, that was not a good strategy. Maybe I should have waited for a turn to do this, to have a binding as a protection. Also, of course, it always feels bad for opponents to have Leyline Binding on my Leyline Binding, which has Beanstalk below. And yeah, that's why I don't like the bindings in this matchup. So now I have a Force of Vigor, but I don't have any beans on the field, and you know that having beans in this matchup is really what wins it. So now my opponent is 6 cards in hand, I have 1, and that is game over. Okay, so, but yeah, these matchups are always like that, it can quickly go on either way. And yeah, the last match I'm not going to show because I was in a hurry and I was not able to play properly. I just conceded game 2 and then immediately tried to play fast in a game 3, but I quickly conceded that one too, so it's not really relevant. I had to go and didn't have time to finish the match. So that is the entire league. I only played this one and it was pretty interesting for the YouTube, so I was happy with it. And yeah, I think this deck is good. I think Quintorius Kand is already multiple players did the trophy leagues with a list very similar to this one with Teferi instead of Quintorius, but Quintorius is interesting option. It shines in these grindy matchups. It can really be good against the Cascade beans, and they don't have much solution for it, just stuff like Leyline Binding or Fury. Yeah, but that is it for today. Hope you liked the video, hope you liked the gameplay. Friendly reminder to click like, click subscribe. I want to hear about your impressions using the Quintorius Kand in a decks like this. I tried it in the regular Cascade Beanstalk. I didn't like it as much because yeah, in this deck I had a lot more creatures, and creatures help you protect your planeswalkers better. Also I had Rokiric in this deck, and Quintorius, if you have Rokiric on the field, cast Quintorius, hit the Shardless or Bloodbraid Elf, it already does so much value creating the 4/4 golem tokens. It doesn't even matter if it dies immediately, it has done its job already. Okay, so that is it. Really liking the list. There are a lot of options, as I already said. Solitude, Fire Ice, Teferi, Quintorius Kand in the main. All these options felt pretty good, and I think you can't go wrong with either of those. And that's it. So again, thank you for watching. That's it for today, and goodbye.